Hi everyone, welcome back to DGMZ, Diwaan-e-Ghalib, Meri Subani. To all our returning viewers, we are very happy you could join us again. And to the new viewers, we are delighted you discovered the podcast and decided to tune in for the first time. Now, if you were with me in the previous episode, you know that currently we are going through Ghazal 29 from Divan-e-Ghalib. We started the Ghazal in the last episode. We are going to finish it in today's episode, simply because the Ghazal has just 2 couplets in the Divan. So, today we are going to pick the second couplet. As always, I'm going to read the couplet first. We will then get into the keywords, key concepts, and finally the DGMZ impression of the couplet. So this is how it goes. ऐतबार-ए-इश्क, ऐतबार-ए-इश्क की खाना-खराबी देखना, ऐतबार-ए-इश्क की खाना-खराबी देखना, गैर ने की आह, लेकिन वो खफा मुझ पर हुआ. Very cute couplet. So let's start with a quick approximate translation. First line. ऐतबार-ए-इश्क की खाना-खराबी देखना. Look at what trust on love has caused in terms of ruin, devastation, wastage. गैर ने की आ, लेकिन वो खफा मुझ पर हुआ. Though the other one, or though the rival side, she got angry at me. So that is the approximate translation. Let's start picking the keywords. There are quite a few in this couplet, so bear with us. First up, ऐतबार. ऐतबार is confidence in something, trust in something, belief in something, having faith in something. इस पे वसीम बरेलवी का ये शेर. वो झूठ बोल रहा था बड़े सलीके से, मैं एतबार ना करता तो और क्या करता. Lovely couplet. The approximate translation is she was lying with such finesse, with such style, that what other option did I have than believing what she was saying. I just had no other option. The finesse, the style, the convincing nature of her lies was such that I had no other option but to believe her. उस पे एतबार करना. दाग दहलवी का ये शेर. आपका एतबार कौन करे, रोज़ का इंतज़ार कौन करे. Approximate translation is, who would take the chance of believing in you or having confidence in you? Who would take the chance of waiting for you all day, every day? गुलजार का शेर. आदतन तुमने कर दिए वादे, आदतन हमने एतबार किया. Approximate translation is, by force of habit, you made another promise. By force of habit, I once again believed it. Beautiful couplet. And then अल्लामा इकबाल का ये शेर. जो एक था ए निगाह तूने 1000 करके हमें दिखाया. जो एक था ए निगाह तूने 1000 करके हमें दिखाया. यही अगर कैफियत है तेरी तो फिर किसे एतबार होगा. The approximate translation is, what was actually one you showed me as 1,000. O I, and as in EYE, arc. If this is how you are going to operate, if this is the state of your being, then tell me, who will ever believe you? If you are going to hype up 1 to 1,000, show one thing as 1,000, then nobody will बिलीव यू, कोई तुम पे यही अगर कैफियत है तेरी तो फिर किसे एतबार होगा. ऑल राइट, दैट टेक्स केयर ऑफ एतबार. मूविंग ऑन टू इश्क. No, we will not get into the keyword ishq because there is just no way we can cover it or do justice to it. We will quickly translate it and move on from it. So ishq translates to love, correct? In Urdu poetry, it's not used lightly. It's used to describe something very strong, something very intense, something very passionate, something which totally consumes your entire being, right? That is what ishq is in Urdu poetry, and we will share our favorite single couplet on ishq, Jigar Muradabadi's couplet. ये इश्क नहीं आसा, इतना ही समझ लीजिए, एक आग का दरिया है और डूब के जाना है. We think this one couplet is enough. It's a lovely couplet, it's a famous couplet, and it does capture the spirit and essence of ishq, especially in Urdu poetry, very well. The approximate translation is, this love, this thing we call love, is not easy. Just understand this much. It's not easy. Whatever else you listen about it, just understand this much. It is not easy. Imagine an ocean of fire which you have to cross, and you do not have the option to swim through it. You have to drown yourself in it, and only then you will be able to cross it. There is no option of floating, skimming, swimming over this ocean of fire. That is what love is, that is what ishq is. Moving on to our next keyword, Khaana-Kharaabi, pivotal word for our couplet today. Translates to ruining, devastation, wreckage, waste of home. Khana is home, Kharabi is waste, ruin, destruction, ravaging, right? इस पे जमल एहसानी का ये शेर, आदते खाना खराबी है जमाल, आदते खाना खराबी है जमाल, वरना अच्छा खासा घर मौजूद है. So the approximate translation is, there is this habit that I have of a ruin, of a desolated, destroyed, wrecked place. Jamal, and the poet is referring to himself. Otherwise, the fact of the matter is that there is a very good house that does exist for me, but it's just that there is a force of habit to like being there's a force of habit which makes me want to stay in a ruin, in a destroyed place, in a place with wreckage in it, right? Otherwise, there's a pretty okay house that is available in which I can exist. दाग दहलवी का ये शेर, निगाह यार ने की खाना खराबी ऐसी, ना ठिकाना है जिगर का, ना ठिकाना दिल का. The approximate translation is, the eyes of the beloved have brought down such ruin and devastation on me that now I cannot find where my liver is, I cannot find where my heart is. And this is a symbolic way of saying, I have no control on my heart, I have no control on my senses, I have no control on my body. Such is the wreckage, such is the ruin brought down on me from those eyes of the beloved. मुनव्वराना का ये शेर, कम से कम ये तो बता दे कि किधर जाएगी, करके ए खाना खराबी मेरी बर्बाद बुझे. Approximate translation is, at least tell me what is going to be your next stop. Oh ruin, oh devastation, once you are done with me, at least before you go, tell me what is going to be your next stop, where you are going to plunder, destroy. And then last one, Mir Taqi Mir का ये शेर, आँखों से हुई खाना खराबी ये दिल ए काश, कर लेते तभी बंद हम इन दोनों दरों को. The approximate translation is, my ruin, my destruction happened because of those two eyes. The destruction, the ruin of my heart happened because of those two eyes. Oh, how I wish I had closed these doors the moment I gazed in those eyes. I wish I had closed my doors, and by doors, it again metaphorically doors, but actually the eyes, right? So that is Khaana-Kharaabi, literal devastation of house, literal devastation of your place, your abode, your home, but symbolically also devastation of your senses, ruin, wreckage of your overall being, right? Due to whatever reason. So that takes care of Khaana-Kharaabi. Moving on to Ghair. Ghair translates to a stranger, somebody who is foreign to us, somebody who's an outsider, a rival. इस पे दाग दहलवी का शेर, कल तक तो आशना थे मगर आज गैर हो, कल तक तो आशना थे मगर आज गैर हो, 2 दिन में ये मिजाज हैं आगे की खैर हो. So the approximate translation is, till yesterday you were a good friend, today you are suddenly a stranger. If this is the change of your mood in 2 days, heavens save me from what is going to happen in the future. If 2 days can create this level of change, then heaven save me from what lies in the future. मोहम्मद अलवी का ये शेर, आग अपने ही लगा सकते हैं, लवली वन, आग अपने ही लगा सकते हैं, गैर तो सिर्फ हवा देते हैं. So the approximate translation is, the fire that will burn you can only be initiated by someone close to you, someone you call your own. Because strangers, foreigners, outsiders, all they can do is come and fan the flames, but they do not have the power to start the fire. And what a couplet it is, right? Such a lot of deep symbolic meaning. You do not give that power to strangers and outsiders, right? To put you or your life or anything related to you on fire and destroy it. That power only people who are close to you, only people who are who you call your own can do. And then this last one, तिलोक चंद महरूम का शेर, अकल को क्यों बताएं इश्क का राज, lovely one, अकल को क्यों बताएं इश्क का राज, गैर को राजदा नहीं करते. So the approximate translation is, one second, I have to set my headphones. Sorry. Okay. अकल को क्यों बताएं इश्क का राज, गैर को राजदा नहीं करते. So the approximate translation is, why would we disclose the secret of love to the brain? The rule is, you should never share secrets with outsiders. So the heart and the love in it is never going to disclose their secret to the brain, because brain is considered an outsider, a foreigner, a stranger to what is happening within the boundaries of the heart. That takes care of Ghair. Moving on to Ah. Now Ah is a sigh, a moan, a lament. Usually in Urdu poetry it is pain-filled, so that's what we are going to stick to. It's a lament of grief, a sigh of grief. इस पर अकबर अलाहाबादी का ये शेर, आ जो दिल से निकाली जाएगी, क्या समझते हो कि खाली जाएगी. The approximate translation is, that sigh, that lament that erupts from the depths of the heart. What do you think? it will go waste. By extension, it will never go waste, right? So any lament, any sigh that actually erupts from the depths of the heart with the truest of emotions, be it pain, be it love, be it grief, be it sorrow, it will always hit its mark. आसी गाजीपुरी का ये शेर, दर्द दिल कितना पसंद आया उसे, दर्द दिल कितना पसंद आया उसे, मैंने जब की उसने वाह की. So the approximate translation is, look at the extent at which, no, not at, to which she enjoyed my pain-filled heart. Look at the extent to which she enjoyed the pain-filled heart of mine. Every time I said as a sigh, she said wah as in wow. So to all my ahs, she said wow. All right, that takes care of We'll keep trudging along. The next word is, and the last one, Khafaa. Khafaa is getting angry, getting displeased, getting infuriated about something. Simply put, getting angry. अहमद फराज का ये शेर, किस किस को बताएंगे जुदाई का सबब हम, तू मुझसे खफा है तो ज़माने के लिए आ. Lovely ghazal, ranjishi sahi. So the approximate translation of the couplet is, who all will we go one after the other and explain this entire long-winded story of our separation? Everybody keeps asking, where is she, right? Who all can I go to and explain this long-winded story of separation? If you are angry with me, at least for the sake of these people, come back, so that they don't have to ask me again and again, where is she, what happened, why is the separation still on. जॉन इलिया का शेर, एक ही फ़न तो हमने सीखा है, गुड वन, एक ही फ़न तो हमने सीखा है, जिससे मिलिए उसे खफा कीजिए. The approximate translation is, for the entirety of my life, there is this one talent that I have developed, just one talent that I have developed. And what is it? Whoever I meet, I infuriate them, I anger them, I alienate them. And last one, मुनव्वर राना का, खफा होना ज़रा सी बात पर तलवार हो जाना, मगर फिर खुद ब खुद वो आपका गुलनार हो जाना. The approximate translation is, getting angry on a small thing and bringing out the sword-like temperament of yours, right? And then, all by yourself, in a few moments, turning back to that delicate flower-like temperament of yours. It's a lovely couplet where the lover is almost paying a tribute, right, to the sword and the flower aspects of the beloved's personality. All right, that takes care of all the keywords. We can start getting into our impression. First line, एतबारे इश्क की खाना खराबी देखना. एतबारे इश्क. This is how Ghalib starts this couplet. एतबारे इश्क translates to trust on love. What a lovely concept. And in fact, not very commonly used. What we commonly hear is trust and love, right? And that also is no less powerful a concept in itself, right? Trust and love, the two ingredients that need to be present to make each other sustain themselves over a long period of time. But in today's couplet, Ghalib chooses to focus not on trust and love, he is focusing on trust on love, एतबारे ishq. Usually this trust on love in Urdu poetry is displayed by the lover who is considered the embodiment of the emotion of love. We have discussed this many times. Lover is the embodiment of emotion of love. Beloved is the embodiment of beauty. मुनव्वर हाशमी का ये शेर, इश्क का एतबार हैं हम लोग, इश्क का एतबार है हम लोग, जिंदगी की वकार है हम लोग. So the approximate translation is, the trust on love is us, we people, and by extension the lovers, right? The trust on love is we people, we embody it. The majesty, the honor, the dignity of life are we people, the lovers. Urdu poetry not only captures trust on love, but also celebrates trust on love even in the face of unrequited love. That's a huge thing. That is a huge thing. Because on a normal day, if there is unrequited love and the lover is still continuing to trust on love, the general reaction to that would be negative, because it would be considered a waste of time. It would be considered a waste of emotion, waste of effort, waste of trust, waste of love, right? To keep trusting the emotion of love when you are facing unrequited love is something which most people will discard as stupidity. Correct? Not many art forms capture, and certainly not many art forms celebrate it. But Urdu poetry, in DGMZ's humble opinion, is one such art form that glorifies the lover's trust on love even in the face of unrequited love. सबा अकबर आबादी का ये शेर, सादगी तो हमारी ज़रा देखिए, एतबार आपके वादे पर कर लिया, बात तो सिर्फ एक रात की थी, मगर इंतज़ार आपका उम्र भर कर लिया. The approximate translation is, look at my simplicity. Look at my simplicity that I trusted your promise. The whole precedent was, or the whole background was about just one night. And here I spent my entire life waiting for you. बेखुद दहलवी का ये शेर, जादू है या तिलिस्म तुम्हारी ज़बान में, तुम झूठ कह रहे थे मुझे एतबार था. The approximate translation is it magic? Is it a maze in your tongue? I knew that you were lying, and still I was trusting you. In the face of your lies, I was helpless. I was still trusting what you were saying. So I don't know whether there is magic in your tongue or there is a magical maze in your words, but I couldn't help but trust you, even though I knew you were lying. And last one, दाग दहलवी का शेर, गजब किया तेरे वादे पे एतबार किया, तमाम रात क़यामत का इंतज़ार किया. Same thing. What calamity that I trusted the promise you made, and because of that all night I waited for calamity to arrive, and by extension it didn't arrive. So clearly trust on love, E'tbar-e-Ishq, is part of the lover's DNA. With that background and baseline, let's look at our first line again. In this first line, Ghalib is flipping the script. Ghalib in today's couplet is not talking about the lover's trust on love or lover's E'tbar-e-Ishq. Ghalib in fact is talking of the beloved's trust on love, beloved's E'tbar-e-Ishq. How interesting, right? How typical of Ghalib to bring together a very lover-specific attribute and then make it play out at the beloved's end. Confusing, right? Contradicting, right? But also captivating, also intriguing. One has to admit that there is a certain shock value to this pairing Ghalib has done of a lover's attribute playing at the beloved's end. We know that beloved is usually portrayed as the embodiment of beauty, not love. But Ghalib kind of breaks the rules of the game and puts beloved in a scene where she is displaying trust on love, Aetbar-e-Ishq. That's our first shock in this couplet. Keep a track of them, viewers, there will be more. Now, we just got done with the scene where beloved is displaying trust on love, an attribute which is usually not associated with beauty and by extension beloved. Though shocking, it's what we would call a pleasant shock. It makes us think, finally, the beloved who has always misunderstood or ignored or undermined the emotion of love that the lover had is getting to a place where she's beginning to trust on love. She's finally getting acquainted to the emotion of Aetbar-e-Ishq. Now let's move to the second part of the first line. Khaana-Kharaabi Dekhnaa. Ghalib goes on to say that this trust on love that the beloved displays, no matter how rare and pleasantly shocking, is actually leading to Khaana-Kharaabi for the lover. Or by Khaana-Kharaabi is ruin, devastation, destruction for the lover. Now, like we covered in the keywords, Khaana-Kharaabi literally means ruining of the house, but symbolically it depicts a feeling of waste, a feeling of ruin, a feeling of devastation and destruction. Khaana-Kharaabi is another jazba or emotion the lover in Urdu poetry is very familiar with, due to multiple reasons. We will cover the three most common ones. Number one, Khaana-Kharaabi is in the DNA of the lover. It is in the DNA of the lover. Mirza Ghalib का शेर, मेरी तामीर में मुज़मर है एक सूरत खराबी की. मेरी तामीर में मुज़मर है एक सूरत खराबी की, हायूला बर के खिरमन का है खूने गर्म दहका का. So the approximate translation is, in my DNA itself, in my blueprint itself, in my construction itself, there is this element, integral element of ruin that has been incorporated. Like other people, ruin doesn't come on me from outside. Ruin comes from within, inside of me, because it is part of my DNA. It is part of my blueprint. Just like the heat from the blood of the farmer that gets integrally weaved into the grain is responsible for attracting the lightning that is going to fall on the harvest ready field. So basically the farmer is, it's a Ghalib couplet, it requires an impression, but basically the farmer is putting those drops of blood, that sweat and toil, to grow the harvest. But such is the irony of those blood drops that they become magnets to attract lightning, which is going to destroy that crop which the farmer wanted to nourish or did nourish with his blood drops. So the DNA concept very well captured in this couplet from Ghalib. फानी बदायूं का ये शेर, किस खराबी से जिंदगी फानी, इस जहान खराब में गुजरी. So the approximate translation is, with what ruin, with what devastation this life fani, and the poet is referring to himself, though the use of takallus is amazing here, because fani, as you know, is fana, from fana also you can connect it, is jahan kharab mein guzri. In this ruin of a world, how ruined my life was throughout its tenure. जलील मनिकपुरी का ये शेर, तन्हाई दिल में रहती है, खराबी दिल में बसती है, यही आबाद बसती है, यही विरां बसती है. The approximate translation is, there is isolation, loneliness in my heart, and there is ruin and devastation in my heart. This is the state of my heart when it is flourishing. This is the state of my heart when it is a ruin. It is a wreckage. The state is the same. Lot of loneliness and lot of devastation. And then this last one from Vipul Kumar, इस खराबी की कोई हद है कि मेरे घर से संग उठाए दरो दीवार निकल आते हैं. The approximate translation is there any limit to this ruin and devastation that is meant for me? My own doors and walls come out of my house with stones in their hands to ruin me, to destroy me. So my house has turned against me. That is the level of my ruin. That is the level of my devastation. So that is one Khaana-Kharaabi, where it is in your DNA. It is all around you, right? As part of your ecosystem. The second Khaana-Kharaabi, of course, is what the lover will experience as a consequence of falling in love. Probably one of the biggest reasons, right? मीर तकी मीर का ये शेर, बिखरा जाता है ना तवानी से जी, आशिक ना हुए कि एक खराबी आई. The approximate translation is the body just crumbles. The body just falls apart under weakness. It's not as if I have fallen in love. It almost feels as if I have fallen into a ruin. Some kind of devastation which is just making me fall apart. Is this love, or have I fallen in love, or have I fallen into some kind of never-ending ruin and destruction? आदर्श दुबे का ये शेर, इश्क की एक यही खराबी है, हर घड़ी इम्तिहान में रहता है. The approximate translation is, there is this one destroying, destructive aspect of love, that it is perpetually in a state of test. It is always getting tested. There is just no respite. Always getting tested. Always the limits are getting pushed. You do this, now you have to do this. Do that, then you have to do that. I mean, the test never ends. आग का दरिया है, डूब के जाना है, correct? And then मीर तकी मीर का ये शेर, अब ज़ोफ़ से डहता है बेताबी शिताबी की, उस दिल के तड़पने ने क्या खाना खराबी की. The approximate translation is, now it crumbles under weakness, under feebleness of restlessness, anxiety, impatience, grief, pain. This heart and its grief has ruined me, has brought such destruction on me, such weakness on me, right? And this last one by Habib Jalil, इस शहर खराबी में गमे इश्क के मारे जिंदा हैं, यही बात बड़ी बात है प्यारे. The approximate translation is, in this ruined town, these lovers who are struck by the grief and pain of love, they are alive. That itself is a big thing. Forget about how ruined they are, how feeble they are, how ill they are, how destroyed they are. They are alive. Just be thankful for that. So that is the second type of Khaana-Kharaabi that one would encounter. And then the last Khaana-Kharaabi is the one that comes directly from the beloved. By extension, by the actions of the beloved, right? She can bring ruin and plunder and devastation and destruction on the lover just like that, right? She is the fastest, swiftest and most undermining Khaana-Kharaabi that can happen to the lover. शकील बदायूं का ये शेर, जो लाता है दिल पर खराबी का आलम, किसी का वो चेहरे से आंचल उठाना. The approximate translation is, that thing that brings devastation to this heart, that gesture of her lifting the veil from her face. इदरीस बाबर का ये शेर, हाथ दुनिया का भी है दिल की खराबी में बहुत, फिर भी है दोस्त तेरी एक नज़र से कम है. The approximate translation is yes, yes, the world has also contributed to my ruin and destruction. But my dear one, whatever they have contributed is less than the contribution made by that one glance of yours. And the last one by Mir Taqi Mir. उसके गए पे दिल की खराबी ना पूछिए, जैसे कसों का कोई नगर हो लुटा हुआ. The approximate translation is, do not even ask me what type of devastation and destruction happened once she left. It was almost as if somebody's entire town was looted and plundered. So, this last type of kharabi, which directly happens thanks to beloved's actions, is the one that is captured in our couplet today. Ghalib says that this trust on love that the beloved has displayed has led to the ruin and plunder for the lover or of the lover. What a paradox, right? Ghalib captures a rare, complex scenario where having someone trust you is not in your favor. In fact, it is unfavorable to you. Right? And that is the irony of the whole couplet. Where lies the beauty of the couplet, right? That the beloved trusting the love of the lover is actually causing ruin and devastation and wreckage for the lover. At this point in time, we would like to remind our viewers that Urdu ghazals, and we have done this in the past also, Urdu ghazals were crafted primarily to be recited and not read like this, right? The way we do. And like we do many times at DGMZ, we will take a pause and imagine, right, the usual mushaira setting in which Ghalib would be reciting this ghazal. So just imagine, after reciting this first line, "Aitbar-e ishq ki Khaana-Kharaabi Dekhnaa," there would be a pause, right? And the line would translate to, "Look at what trust on love has caused in terms of ruin and plunder and waste and destruction." That is the line. As the audience listening to the ghazal recitation, one can only imagine the anticipation and flurry of thoughts such a paradoxical line would create. A million permutations and combinations would race in one's mind. Trust on love has led to ruin and plunder and devastation and destruction. Well, whose trust? Whose love? Who got ruined? Why would divine emotions like trust and love cause ruin? How did this paradoxical thing happen? Shouldn't Ghalib be saying distrust on love has caused ruin and plunder and waste? These questions and many more would race through your mind, right? Because you don't know the second line yet. Now, we have already disclosed to you that it is beloved's trust on love and lover's ruin. Since we needed to do that to build the impression so far, we could not have done it without disclosing that. But if you were in a mushaira and you were listening to this first line and Ghalib had not recited the second line yet, you wouldn't know. You couldn't be sure who was having the two emotions, one of Aitbar-e ishq and second of Khaana-Kharaabi. That would captivate you, that would confuse you, that would grab your attention, and that would force you to imagine who. This was indeed classic Ghalib style, which made his ghazals very popular to one and all. Ghazals of Ghalib had a very strong hook, and it held the audience captive till the last word of the last line was not recited and consequently revealed by him. So many times when we are doing impressions, this gets lost in translation. But That's why we always take a moment with our viewers to appreciate and enjoy this mastery. Wherever we think there is a need to highlight this, we do that. It's a sort of mini DGMZ Mushaira moment, if you may. But we always pause with such couplets where it is very clear and evident how impactful this break between the first line and second line would be, how confounding it would be for the audience till Ghalib recites the second line. Okay, so all those questions evoked in the audience by the first line will of course get addressed in the second line. Though with Ghalib, there will never be 100% plain, clear, simple answer, right? The mystery will always remain. You can read the couplet, both the lines, 1,000 times. Still the mystery will be intact. Such was the mastery. So that's a good segue into the second line. Let's get into the second line. Ghair ne ki lekin wo khafaa mujh par hua. Ghair, now as we covered in keywords, Ghair. Now as we cover Ghair. Now as we covered in keywords, it literally translates to another person, outsider, foreigner, alien, whatever. But in Urdu poetry, especially when someone is being called out Ghair by the lover, it usually refers to the rival. And by that we mean the person who is rivaling the lover for the attention of the beloved. Urdu poetry mein, when the lover calls someone Ghair, this is what it means. शेख इब्राहिम ज़ौक़ का ये शेर, तुमने ठहराई अगर गैर के घर जाने की, तो इरादे यहाँ कुछ और ठहर जाएंगे. The approximate translation is, if you decide to go and visit the rival's house, then know, beloved, that at this end, by extension at my end, I will also make some decisions. मिर्ज़ा गालिब का शेर, गैर फिरता है लिए यूं तेरे खत को की, अगर कोई पूछे कि ये क्या है तो छुपाए ना बने. The approximate translation is, the rival is roaming around with your letter so openly, so publicly, that if anybody was to ask him, what is this in your hand, he cannot even hide it. That's how publicly he is flaunting it. गालिबी का एक और शेर, हम भी दुश्मन तो नहीं हैं अपने, गैर को तुझसे मोहब्बत ही सही. The approximate translation is, after all, I am also not an enemy of myself. Sure, I agree that the rival is in love with you. That's a complex couplet. We will hold back the impression, but we'll just go with the translation. कमर जलालवी का ये शेर, सुना है गैर की महफिल में तुम ना जाओगे, कहो तो आज सजा लूं गरीब खाने को. The approximate translation is, I have heard that you have decided not to go to the rival's house, whatever the party there is or celebration there is. So, if you permit, should I prepare my house today instead? And by extension, you can visit me. And last one, Mir Hasan का ये शेर, गैर को तुम ना आँख भर देखो, क्या गजब करते हो, इधर देखो. The approximate translation is, do not look and gaze and stare at the rival like that. What calamity are you bringing down on me? Beloved, turn around, look this side, don't look at him. Ghair is this rival which is always competing with the lover for the beloved's attention, for the beloved's affections. So that takes care of Ghair. Moving on to the second component in the second line, Ah. Ah, like we covered in keywords, lament, sigh, full of grief and pain. Ah is a signature move of the lover. The way a lover does it, especially the one facing unrequited love, is unmatched. This ah, this lament, this sigh that the lover sends out, thanks to the pain and the grief he has in his heart, is one of its kind. It is unmatched. उमैर नाजमी का ये शेर, किताबे इश्क में हर आह एक आयत है. किताबे इश्क में हर आह एक आयत है, पर आंसुओं को हरूफे मुक्तियत समझ. The approximate translation is, in the book of love. It's a beautiful couplet. In the book of love, every sigh, every lament is almost a verse. And here, ayat, as we know, is verse in Quran. So every ah, every sigh, every lament is a verse in the book of love. But tears are harufe muktiyat. Now, harufe muktiyat is for more than 1/4 of the Quranic chapters. It is said that they begin with an abbreviated letter, which is called harufe muktiyat, and no one knows their meaning. But for almost 1/4 of the Quranic chapters, they start with this harufe muktiyat, this specific alphabet or letter which nobody knows the meaning of, but they are there. So that is what tears serve as. You cannot explain tears, you cannot have a meaning to them, but they initiate the chapters of Book of Love. And these sighs and laments are actual verses in it. Beautiful couplet. अंदलीब शदानी का ये शेर, दिल पर चोट पड़ी है तब तो आ लबों तक आई है, यूं ही छन से बोल उठना तो शीशे का दस्तूर नहीं. Another lovely one. The approximate translation is, there has been an impact, there has been a strike on the heart, and that is why this sigh is erupting from the lips. Otherwise, no mirror is going to make the shattering noise without any rhyme or reason. It's a lovely couplet again, right? The mirror of the heart, right? Because it has been injured, because it has faced huge impact, this sigh is erupting. Otherwise, this shattering noise will not come from a mirror without any rhyme or reason. जलील मनिकपुरी का ये शेर, मेरी आह का तुम असर देख लेना, वो आएंगे थामे जिगर देख लेना. The approximate translation is, the impact of my sighs and laments you will see, because you will see them coming with their hands clutching their heart back to me. You will see. So, like we said, ah is a signature move of the lover. Nobody does it like the lover, right? Nobody has that taab in the ah like that of a lover. Now, one thing about the sighs and laments of the lover that we need to know is the fact that much self-control has to be put in place by the lover to not utter these sighs, to not utter these laments as far as possible, humanly possible. Because the lover sighing and lamenting in his grief publicly will inevitably lead to the revelation that beloved is the reason for these sighs and laments. On the other end, the beloved, for the sake of her honor and dignity, would not appreciate such public displays of grief and lamentation by the lover, knowing fully well that it will be traced back to her. And if the lover ever does it, the beloved always will rebuke the lover for that type of action. So that is something we need to keep in mind. अकबर अलाहाबादी का ये शेर, हम आह भी करते हैं तो हो जाते हैं बदनाम, वो कत्ल भी करते हैं तो चर्चा नहीं होता. The approximate translation is, if I at my end even sigh or lament, I get publicly defamed, and they at their end can go ahead and kill me, slay me, and even then nobody is talking about it at all. कमर जलाल भी का ये शेर, जब्त करता हूँ तो घुटता है कफस में मेरा दम, जब्त करता हूँ तो घुटता है कफस में मेरा दम, आह करता हूँ तो सयाद खफा होता है. The approximate translation is, if I hold it in, if I exert self-control on it, then I feel suffocated inside my cage. But if I let it out, then the bird hunter gets angry. And symbolic, right? Bird hunter is the beloved, and the lover is caught in the cage of his unrequited love, pain and grief. And the last one by Amir Minai. जब देखो उधर निगाह ना की, मर गए मरते मरते आह ना की. That vibe, right? The approximate translation is, look at the self-control. I never looked her way. I died, and while I was dying, I did not utter a single sigh. Because like I said, that is the code of conduct the beloved expects from the lover. That is the code of conduct the lover tries his very best to deliver. Of course, every limit, every unlimited thing has a limit, right? So once that limit is hit, yes, the limit will go out from the lover, but usually the lover will try their best never to make a public display of sighing and lamenting and grieving about this unrequited lover, whatever the reason is for separation between them and the beloved. And this baselining of that we did was necessary to appreciate the unfairness Ghalib captures in this second line. And it's not just one, it is multiple unfairness, right? So let's take it one at a time. The first and the most obvious one is that the signature move of or lament or sigh, which belongs to the lover, which is unique to the lover, which no one can do like the lover, is being done by the rival. The lover's signature move is being done by the rival. And this is not a signature move that comes out of pleasure. It is a signature move that comes out of pain. But still, the lover owns it. But in this couplet, done by the rival. The second unfairness happens when the beloved confuses the rival's lament to be that of the lover. Very heartbreaking, right? For the lover, that I have all this while been holding in my laments, holding in my sighs, right? And you went ahead and confused it with the rival. Or in the second scenario, all this while you've been hearing my laments and sighs, and you went ahead and confused it with the rival. In either scenario, beloved, you are not clear, right? You are not acquainted to my signature lament, my signature sigh. As we all know, people we love, people we are close to, people we are in vicinity of, we tend to get used to their sounds, if you may, be it coughing, be it laughter, be it whatever, right? But here, the beloved totally confused the lover's sigh and lament with the rival's sigh and lament. So that is the second unfairness. And the final unfairness, of course, happens when the beloved blames and gets angry at the lover for something which the lover has not even done. The lament and sigh has not been uttered by the lover, but the beloved comes and gets angry with him. That is the height of fairness. That is what Ghalib says causes my ruin, my devastation. Because as a lover, that is the last thing I want. Her getting angry at me. As it is, she's not happy with me, right? And now she's getting angry at me for something which I have not even done. I cannot afford her to be angry at me. For all practical purposes, probably the lover has never uttered a lament or a sigh, or has exhibited extreme self-control with reference to that. and then to be blamed for a lament and sigh that the rival uttered. So, in the second line, it's like this multi-layered unfairness pyramid that the lover is getting caught in or is getting pushed under, right? Thanks to the beloved. Alright, so that takes care of the second line. Let's now quickly take a minute or two to step back and look at the couplet in totality. In DGMZ's humble opinion, this couplet, like we said, is a multi-layered pyramid of unfairness that the lover is getting crushed under in this couplet. In the first line, the unfairness lies in the fact that beloved, who never trusts on love, probably for the very first time has put her trust on love, but for something that actually is unfavorable for the lover, actually will cause more ruin and devastation for the lover. It will destroy the world, Khaana-Kharaabi. It will destroy the entire ecosystem and world of the lover. She has chosen something like that for the trust on love. So that is huge unfairness. It has the trust on love, the E'tibare-ish that the beloved will display in the first line will actually lead to lover's Khaana-Kharaabi. It backfires for the lover. It is ironical for the lover. It is unfavorable for the lover. In the second line, we see how one after the other the lover is getting hit by unfairness, where firstly the rival is unfairly and disrespectfully lamenting and sighing publicly, which actually is something done most effectively by the lover, and secondly the lover is getting blamed for the rival's sigh unfairly by the beloved. Lover's hopelessness and the lover's helplessness in face of this unfairness is palpable in the couplet. इंसान मजबूर है और किस कदर मजबूर है, right? And that jazba comes through very strongly. But as we say at DGMZ, there is a tip of the iceberg and then there is a whole iceberg underneath. So this is the tip. This pyramid of unfairness in the first line, this pyramid of unfairness in the second line. Ghalib, true to his style, true to his personality, in midst of all this unfairness, in the midst of all this dark cloud of unfairness, weaves in the silver lining in the couplet. This is what we at DGMZ believe is the hidden silver lining in this couplet. Number one, the fact that the beloved showed E'tibare-ishq, trust on love, in the first line is a huge win for the lover. This is a beloved who embodies beauty. This is not someone who embodies love, right? And the type of E'tibare-ish the lover has at his end is never reflected at the beloved's end. In this couplet, it is. That itself is a huge thing, to put beloved and E'tibare-ishq in one in one frame. That itself is a huge win. And look how Ghalib silently slides it in the first line, under the big heavy camouflage of Khaana-Kharaabi. You get so caught up in the Khaana-Kharaabi that you forget there is E'tibare-ishq in there, being displayed by the lover. There is E'tibare-ishq in there, being displayed by the beloved for the love that the lover has for her. That itself is a huge win. So we think that is a silver lining. Whatever the reason might be, the fact that the beloved shows trust with reference to the lover's love for her is a big win for the lover. Now, secondly, the beloved gives undeniable proof of her trust on love of the lover when she confuses the rival's sigh with the lover's sigh. Again, on the surface, it seems like a negative thing. But if you think of it, there is a hidden meaning. Such is the confidence, and this is the hidden meaning. Such is the confidence of the beloved that no one loves her more than the lover, no one is more grieved and pained in her love than the lover, that she automatically thinks that if she hears a sigh, if she hears a lament, it has to be the lover. No one else can make that cut with reference to the beloved. तो अगर कोई मेरे प्यार में तड़प रहा है तो वो ही होगा. अगर कोई मेरे प्यार में करहा रहा है तो वो ही होगा, क्योंकि सबसे ज़्यादा प्यार वही करता है और सबसे ज़्यादा तकलीफ़ में उसके मारे वही है. So that is the confidence of the beloved. He loves me the most. He is most pained and most grieved in my love. Hence, the laments and the sighs are from him. So that is the second silver lining we found. The third and the last one is the Khaana-Kharaabi. Right? The word Khaana-Kharaabi brought the entire negative connotation in the couplet. Right? Khaana-Kharaabi cannot be positive. But if Khaana-Kharaabi, the waste, the ruin, the destruction, is caused because the beloved believes that lover is the one in love with her, lover is the one in pain for her, and lover is the one sighing and lamenting for her, is it really that bad a deal for the lover? Sure, it is the rival who is doing it, but look at the beloved's confidence in the love, in the pain and grief, in the sigh and lamenting. The lover, we think, would willingly take on this waste, willingly take on this Khaana-Kharaabi on himself, if it means that the beloved is going to put her trust on the lover's love. अहमद फराज का ये शेर, सुना है रब थे उसको खराब हालों से, सुना है रब थे उसको खराब हालों से, सो अपने आप को बर्बाद करके देखते हैं. The approximate translation is, I've heard she has an affinity for the ruined ones, for the wasted ones, for the destroyed ones. So let's waste ourselves, let's ruin ourselves and see what happens. See if she will take the bait, right? See if she will get interested. Because what I have heard is that she does have affinity for such people. हसरत अजीम आबादी का ये शेर, गर सिलसिलाए इश्क में फर्जंदे खलफ हैं, गर सिलसिलाए इश्क में फर्जंदे खलफ हैं, हम खाना-खराबी का घर आबाद करेंगे. So the approximate translation is, if in the series of love, if in the succession of love, we have been chosen as the, वो क्या कहते हैं उसको, जो कि legacy को आगे ले जाएंगे, right? If we have been chosen as the heir who will continue the legacy, then we are going to make this ruined house of love, this devastated house of love, flourish and get restored. If that onus of responsibility has come on us, if we have become those successors in the series of love, in the legacy of love, then we will do that. And this last one by मीर तकी मीर, इश्क का घर है मीर से आबाद, ऐसे फिर खाना मन खराब कहाँ. Again, the approximate translation is, the house of love is flourishing because of Mir. You will never find such ruined, devastated, wasted ones anywhere. Right? So, all those couplets to say that whatever waste, whatever plunder, whatever devastation and destruction the lover has to face through the beloved, through loving the beloved, is actually making the house of love flourish. Right? Love flourishes, but the ecosystem around the lover kind of gets destroyed. So it's not that big a deal, in DGMZ's humble opinion, if this destruction is because of beloved's trust on love that the lover has for her. It probably is not that big a deal. The lover will take it in their stride. They would anyways willingly destroy themselves for that opportunity. All right, so that brings us to the end of एतबारे इश्क की खाना खराबी देखना, गैर ने की आह लेकिन वो खफा मुझ पर हुआ. There is a lot of unfairness in this, but then there's a lot of fairness also in it, right? The said and the unsaid that Ghalib brings beautifully in this couplet. Now that ends Ghazal 29 for us today. Short, quick Ghazal, which means next time we are going to start Ghazal 30. We look forward to that. For all the viewers who access the episode, as always, we'll be very keen to hear your comments, your feedback. For the new viewers who have joined us for the first time, a strong recommendation to access the episode titled Introduction to DGMZ, because that will give you a good insight into the motivation and inspiration behind this podcast. For our regular viewers, whenever you have time, surf the homepage of the channel, multiple playlists segregated by topics, go through the episodes and pick one that interests you. If you've not joined us on Facebook yet and you are moved to do that, please do it. It's just another forum for us to interact and share back and forth thoughts on couplets, Urdu poetry, Ghalib, etc., etc. Now allow me to go ahead and end this episode by sending a lot of love and light to all you dear viewers, and thanks for watching.